Hello, everybody. I'm Jack. I'm an artist and instructor at NYU Abu Dhabi's Interactive Media Program. Um, First, I just really want to thank everybody at Digital Futures team, especially the English workshop team, for putting all this together and for facilitating all these events. I really appreciate that. And so the workshop I will be teaching is called Creative Coding for Absolute Beginners. So first of all, what is creative coding? I think for different people, there are different definitions of creative coding. And, in general, it's usually just writing code to do anything kind of creative. Some may even argue that all kinds of coding are creative. That's totally fine. I think it's really up to the people who practice this to define what they think is creative coding. But to illustrate what I mean or what I do, I'll show you a couple of examples. One of the first example is called Mandarinizer, which is an interactive installation that I did. Essentially, it's like a virtual mirror that shows the person in front of the installation, shows that image in the form of Mandarin Chinese characters. And I actually also, with the same idea, actually also made it into a sort of experimental web app, camera app, where it can take pictures or videos in the form of Chinese characters. I think a lot of what I do is really trying to build tools that help, to help make computational technology more accessible to people, and especially in like creative scenarios for artistic expressions. Really trying to democratize computational technology, for creative expression. One other project I did was Minus E, which is a drawing robot I did when I was studying at NYU Shanghai. This is a robot that takes image as input and then draws it on the floor. It moves around holding a marker, so it creates kind of ink drawing of whatever reference image you put. Especially it's good at image references that are more high contrast. So the kind of image it creates is like kind of ambiguous sometimes, which is really a style. If you see my later work, you can see that it's really a recurring theme of my work. So it's in a style where if you look really closely, these are actually fairly large. It's about 1.7 meter by 1.7 meter. So if you are standing right in front of the drawing, it's like quite abstract. You see those random scribbles. But when you step back and look farther away, or if you pull out your phone trying to take a picture, when you have that more smaller image, more condensed image, that's when the sort of image forms. This, for instance, is a drawing of the WWF logo, Panda logo. And so more recently, what I've been doing is what I call daily sketches. It's very much inspired by a lot of artists in this field, especially Zach Lieberman, who's a co-founder of one of those platforms called Open Frameworks. He started doing daily sketches. I believe it's like in 2016 or even earlier. He's been doing it consistently. I follow him on Instagram. So I really drew a lot of inspiration from that. And so last year, I decided that why don't I start doing this every day? I've been doing this every single day for more than a year now. And it's really been an interesting journey. And this is really the kind of stuff that I'll be teaching in this workshop. And I think one thing about doing something consistently every day is really, it pushes you to be creative every day, and it really, really help you to develop certain skills as you do it every day, do it more often. Practice makes perfect. So just to show you a little more about my sketches, I'll play a short video. So if you are interested in learning more about sketches, you can either scan the QR code or go to the my website. And so what did I use to create those sketches? That's that's a library called p5.js. Essentially, it's a JavaScript library that's made specifically for creative coding. So before p5.js and similar platform or libraries existed, it's actually quite complicated to create visuals because computer programming, especially in the early days, is really designed to create for text-based input, especially in back in the days when people use command line as the main way to interact with computers. So libraries like p5.js really help like artists and designers, architects to to learn to pick up how to utilize this tool, this computational technology for their work. And the reason why I choose p5. So there are a few different platforms. There's p5.js processing, which is by the same processing foundation. And there's also Open Frameworks, which was founded by Zach Lieberman that I mentioned earlier. But why did I choose p5.js? First of all, it's one of the easiest to pick up, in my opinion, and two, because it's live on the web. So you can do everything inside a browser, so it doesn't require any special software. Sometimes software can be complicated to install. So I think as a first creative coding library, this is really a good start. And it really has a whole lot of features that really unlock like a lot of creative possibilities for people like myself. So I've taught creative coding for different different kind of groups. I've taught creative coding for children, younger kids, and also for professional like designers, architects, and also creative coding at NYU Abu Dhabi, which is where I'm at right now. And one other thing I started doing is to sharing some of those workshops on YouTube for free, because as I mentioned, I really my research really focusing on trying to make technology available, like computational technology, more available to people, more accessible. So why don't I just put videos for free and for everybody to watch? And so that's why when I learned about Digital Futures, where it says Digital Futures is trying to democratize education, so that was like, wow, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want to try to do as well. And I'm really really happy that I'm being a part of this. And then I'll give you a more sort of overview of the workshop itself. The workshop starts are divided in 5 sections. The first workshop, which I call Let's Start Sketching. Essentially, that's where we're going to learn the fundamentals, the basics of creative coding, and the basics of JavaScript. And in the second workshop, repeat and repeat. That's where we will be learning how to use how to create animations with repetition. So believe it or not, what you're seeing right now is actually purely made from circles. It's just a lot of small and large circles, very, very close to each other with different colors. And then workshop number 3 is beauty of noises. So this is where we will learn about Perlin noise, which is an algorithm that really helps make animations or color changes more natural, more organic. Before the invention of Perlin noise, a lot of kind of computer simulated graphics are very much machine-like, very sort of rigid. But with this function, it really helps us create natural movements. And then the workshop number 4 is object-oriented creativity. Essentially, we'll be learning this programming concept called object-oriented programming. And more specifically, we would utilize this concept. We would apply this concept in creating like a particle, what's called a particle system. Essentially, it's right now in this example, I'm doing creating like colorful circles. You can use this to simulate water, clouds, and a lot of different things. And then workshop number 5 is virtual reflections. And this is where we will start adding more interaction with the webcam. So essentially similar to my Mandarinizer project, and the sort of the small video that I showed at the very beginning. This is a category of sketches that can be interactive just by moving around in front of a camera, and then we will learn how to manipulate those pixels captured by the camera, and then to generate this kind of interesting and mesmerizing visuals. So workshop requirements, it's pretty much none, but the bare minimum is that you do need to have a computer, and your computer should connect to internet and a web browser, so you can open this website p5.js.org. And also it requires like the basic math knowledge. So as long as addition, multiplication, just the basic math, you should be able to follow along, and be prepared to really follow along and actually write the code yourself, because it's really, for something like coding, it's really impossible to learn to just by watching it. So you really have to open the code editor yourself and type that in there. That's how you can actually learn. And even better, if you can have certain idea, you can try to work on some projects. And to me, that's really the best way to learn. And that's also why I'm doing daily sketches, where I'm really pushing myself to try to do some kind of creative work, coding work, like every single day. And finally, p5.js web editor, that's sort of the main software, the web application that we will be using. All you need to do is sign up for an account so you can save password. So that you can save your sketches on there, and so you don't lose your sketches. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, feel free to again scan the QR code or open the link. There's a link to my Instagram. You can ask questions right now on YouTube, or feel free to reach out to me directly via Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jack. That was a very, very nice presentation. Very concise as well. Really enjoyed it. And it's a great workshop. It's a great addition to the other workshops. And it's going to be also really useful, I think, as I think we said in the beginning, to a very sort of broad also range of potential participants. Very nice. There's one thing I was going to mention, which I thought was quite which I found quite striking in the description that you gave initially for your workshop, which I think is what you said, roughly speaking, was like to teach students to think computationally. Am I quoting you right there? Yeah. Exactly. Which I think is a very good and very important point, right? To sort of think algorithmically, or to sort of think in terms of implementation, or in terms of formalized language, which I just personally speaking, for me, to do this consciously was something that really changed things and opened up many things in terms of how I work today. So I think this was just something I found quite striking when you mentioned that, and it's maybe an important thing to point out to potential participants. Yeah, great, Jack. Thanks so much. That was a very nice presentation.
Thank you.